What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Salute, point finger. Now that means we are live. I'm actually live on my fan page today. If you did not know that, a way that you can tell is you can actually look at the page and see if they have friends or see if they have followers. But I guess on some personal fan pages, you actually have followers, but I guess you can look for friends or likes. So if you are liking the page, then you are actually on the fan page. But if you are requesting to be a friend, then you're actually on a personal page. So I wanted to, as you see the title, I was actually just thinking, obviously, I just transitioned out of my job probably about 2-3 months ago. So I thought about the issue of how I always said, it's like, man, I can't wait till I quit my job. I can't wait till I quit my job. I will have more time. But then I started realizing it's like, I'm an entrepreneur now, and I have a ton of time to actually do what I want to do. But I still have, it just seems like there's not enough time in a day. So I started thinking about that as like entrepreneur time versus employee time. And then I started thinking, it was like, wait a minute. It was like, man, I always said I didn't have enough time. And then I said, wait a minute. I said, when I quit my job, I can't really say that anymore because I just pretty much freed up 50 hours a week. But it still seems like I don't have enough time to do stuff. So I said, I cannot say I don't have enough time because obviously I have plenty of time because obviously I was dedicating my job. I still have the same amount of time, but it was just the places where I dedicated my time before. I was dedicating my time to my job and not really doing the things I want to do. So obviously, yes, I have extra time for myself and to do the things that I want to do, spend more time with my family, which obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, that's kind of hard to do because there's always stuff to do. Somebody said, just being a manager at just a regular company, you're always going to have stuff to do. And especially being, running your own business, there's always something to do. I mean, yeah, you can outsource, you can do all that stuff, but I mean, you still got to manage something. You still got to do something. You still got to get in touch with a person. So I started thinking about that. It's like, still got to get in touch with somebody. You got to tell them what to do. So there's always something to do. Yeah, you can hire a manager, but still you got to have some type of contact with a manager. Yes, you can reduce the time that you are actually doing busy work and reaching out to the people who work for you. And I started thinking about that. It's like, how can I, my nose is sniffing. So actually what I wanted to do right here in this video is actually just to let you guys know that time is technically an illusion. And also I pulled up, where is it? Why can I not share my screen now? You only can share your screen at the beginning. Well, obviously I pulled up a definition of time, which this kind of sucks because I can't go back and show you guys. But anyway, I'll just read it to you. So actually I looked it up in Google. You can do the same thing. Definition of time. It says time is the indefinite continued progress of existence and events in the past, present, and future regarded as a whole. And then it has in quotations, travel through space and time, which obviously, yeah. So that means the situation or the position that you are in right now is actually based off of your past, your present, and your future. So that means where you are right now is based off of your past. And then it says, pretty much where you're going in your future is based off of the present tense where you are now. So I have to ask you this question: where are you spending your time? What are you doing with your time? Are you thinking about what happened to you in the past? Because where you are right now is basically, everything that has happened to you in the past, every event that has happened to you in the past, every decision you made in the past, the decisions that were made to you in the past, the position that you are in right now, the present tense where you are at was based off of your past. And then your future is actually going to be based off of your present. So where are you spending your time? Are you spending your time doing things that you want to do? Because if not, then when you get to the future, that means you're going to have a future that you do not want to be in. So therefore, if you spend your time doing things that you want to do, then you will obviously in the future be at a place where you want to be. So where are you spending your time? And then I thought about, there's another definition under it. It says, obviously, things have multiple definitions. So it says time is a point of time as measured in hours and minutes past midnight or noon. Then I started thinking about that. It's like, wait a minute. It says, so pretty much, time is, pretty much an illusion. And thank you for hopping on. Lidio. I think that's how you say your name. Thank you for hopping on. Thank you for liking it. If this is something that you're interested in, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the comment button. This is going to be uploaded to my YouTube channel as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube, put a comment, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, do what you need to do to get, positive information, good information that will change your life and your mindset and your position, because you got to start looking at different things. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the best person to know all this knowledge and stuff, but I do understand and I do recognize that I have been around a lot of successful people. I've been around a lot of smart people. I mean, I used to work in the lab, and there was some smart guys, smart women that I used to work with. I've been around a lot of successful and smart, intelligent, knowledgeable people. So therefore, I can take the information and spread it to you guys. And I read a lot of books. Well, I won't say I read a lot of books, but I do watch a lot of videos, and I do read key books when the time is necessary. I'm still getting into the habit of reading, but as long as you put something in, actually it was an entrepreneur that said he did not like reading books, but what he does is he watches videos. Now, whether you like reading books, watching videos, I think you need a combination of a lot of different stuff. So therefore, yeah. So I would say, yeah. So then I started thinking about, I read the second definition where you said you measure time. Then I started thinking, it's like, well, wait a minute. If I travel from, Chicago to Maine, and then when I leave Chicago and I get to Maine, somebody's going to ask me, they're going to say, how much time did it take you? They'll be like, well, it took me time, but it's like, how much time did it take you? So therefore, you have to measure time. So then I started thinking about it, it's like, well, wait a minute. It's like time is technically an illusion, because, I can say that, I left Rwanda and I went to Kenya. Then some people are going to say, I mean, obviously, and then the time that it takes me to get to here is like, well, did you fly? Obviously, it's going to take me a shorter amount of time. It's like, did you take a bus? Yeah. So, obviously it's going to take me, along. Did you take a car? So it's like, the time that it takes me to get to a certain position is based off of how I travel. So therefore, obviously, yeah, I just thought about this. So therefore, if it's like, where do you want to get to in your future? Obviously, there's a certain way that you can get there to your future. So it's like, do you want to take a time machine to get to the future? Now, whether a time machine exists or not, I do think that actually Hollywood portrays movies and does stuff in movies that they are actually experimenting on and experimenting with. So therefore, time travel may exist, because obviously, if you think about, Stranger Things, and then you think about the show Dark, which I don't watch much Netflix. Most of the time, if I do watch Netflix, it's mostly movies, unless it's those two shows, or I did like Breaking Bad too. But if you think about that, as far as, time travel, so Hollywood has all these things with time travel, Back to the Future and all that stuff. So they might necessarily be experimental, but whether you believe in time travel or not, I'm just using that as an example. So yeah, so it's like, how do you get to where you want to go? It's like, are you reading books, or are you just, are you on your job? Are you trying to get to your business? And I have people walking down here on the road and all this stuff. So they're actually looking up at me. I'm outside. Actually, I'm here in Rwanda. I'm outside. I'm looking over. There's hills, there's buildings and all this stuff. Yeah, there is buildings, but I actually can't see it because there's a mist and there's a fog today. I don't want to show it to you because people always say that you need to shoot towards the light and not away from the light. So actually, I'm facing the light, so I don't necessarily want to turn my camera. But yeah, so it's like, time is pretty much an illusion, and then the time that you set. So we pretty much set limitations on ourselves by actually trying to measure time. And then the reason why I'm saying that is because the fact is, if you say that you don't have enough time, then obviously you're not going to have enough time, because in your mind and psychologically, you've already positioned yourself to the fact is you don't have enough time. But the thing is, you need to measure time. So when I don't want to necessarily say measure time, but you need to actually have some type of allocation, which some people call time management. Everybody's talking about time management. Time management is a very good thing. I know that the ET, the hip hop preacher Eric Thomas, he is a motivational speaker, and the fact is, if you are waving at the security guard down there, but so if you have time management, you actually have more time. I know, like I said, ET said that once he started managing his time and once he actually started putting limitations and time limits on certain things, he said he seems like he has more time. If you look at Gary Vee talks about how he spends maybe like 2 or 3 hours a day with his family at night, but all the other time, because I think he works like 16, 17, 18 hours a day, every day. And but when you say work, I mean, a lot of that is actually, just him hopping on, a TV or program, it's stuff like that, just doing interviews and stuff like that. Now, yeah, he does have a business. He runs a business, but he's not doing that all day. He's not in the office all day, every day, 18 hours straight, which obviously, yeah. So being an entrepreneur actually gives you an adjustment to do the things that you actually want to do. Yeah. So then I started thinking about, the fact is, it's like, well, that's a good thing that I'm not saying, I don't have enough time, but it's like, well, what am I doing with my time? I need to measure my time. I need to have time management. And obviously, yeah, that's hard to do, but a lot of people, well, I won't say it's hard to do, just a lot of people don't want to do it. So, and then I started thinking about the fact is, when I was an employee time is pretty much, somebody else setting my schedule, which, I mean, I had a designated schedule. I had to be at time, which I had to be at work, within a certain amount of time. Now, I could stay pretty much as long as I wanted to. Won't say as long as I wanted to, but I could stay until the work was actually done. But I had to get there on time, which obviously the fact is, which I don't know. I kind of had some issues with getting there on time, obviously, because pretty much we're professionals, not to say that we're managers or anything like that. And I had actually a couple of managers tell me, they said, as long as you don't show up too late, we'll be fine. As long as your work gets done and you're good. Because he said, I treat you guys like professionals. We're not somebody that is, not to say that there's anything wrong with this, but we're pretty much like, we were professionals because we had degrees and everything like that. We put in the work to get to there. We put in time, we put in work to get to a certain position in life, where other people just, graduated from high school and they just had diplomas and they were working on the lines, which obviously is kind of a different thing. If you're working on the line, a production line, and somebody leaves, like they have to leave at 3 o'clock, 3:30, then the line is pretty much going to stop. It's different when actually I used to be a pharmaceutical rep, used to work in the lab, not rep, but I used to work with pharmaceutical companies and I worked in the lab. So therefore, things could actually, sit there a little bit, especially if you run stuff at risk and all that stuff, but samples can sit there. And not like for hours and hours, but maybe 15, 20 minutes. But if you're on the production line and the line or somebody leaves in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, something could happen on the production line. A lot of people don't understand that, and people got mad at us because we were actually coming in periodically, 15, 20, 30, minutes late. I don't think, well, some people were coming, beyond that. But the situation is with time, time is of the essence. So you have to manage your time. There was a schedule given to me. I had to follow that schedule. So why would you not take the time that you have and make your own schedule? So as I just said, there's time is measured in past, present, and future. So, or actually, that time is, past, present, and future. It's a summation of your past, your present, and your future. So therefore, based off of my ancestors, based off of the people before me, that deals with my time as well. Because it's not just, and not even my ancestors, just people in general, back in, the early age, however old you think the earth is, back, in the prehistoric age, back when the dinosaurs, that time has affected me now. Because of all the situations, all the things, and whether you believe in evolution or not, things do change. Obviously, things change because they didn't have the type of houses that they had. They didn't have the internet back then. Actually, some people were saying that the Egyptians might have had, a certain type of, I won't say they had the internet, but they had a certain type of sophistication. They had a certain type of, civilization that a lot of people really don't understand how they had. Look at the pyramids and how they were built. But if you But the thing is, the time back then actually affects us now. Everything that happened in the past actually affects us now. And then the things that we do right now is actually going to affect the future. I mean, if you think about, different movies and stuff, you can watch, different movies. Or what was that movie, The Butterfly Effect, where the guy kept traveling through time? Who was it? What's his name? Austin Kutcher. Yeah. So if you watch that, every decision, every situation he makes is actually based off of the past, and he goes back in time and then kind of changes stuff, but then it messes up his future, which goes to show you that, time is pretty much of the essence. And then I started realizing, actually, there's another definition here too. I wish I could show my screen. It says, actually, that was the noun time. So obviously you might hear people, like I said, people are walking on the road, actually kids, they're carrying water bottles. And there's another situation right there where time, it's like, what are you doing with your time? These kids, these people, these families, these moms, these dads are actually, I don't see too many guys carrying water. Actually, it's mostly kids and women. Wonder where the guys are. But so yeah, these kids are actually, people are traveling with water. They're taking water. They're taking time to go get this water. We actually take the time to walk to the sink and the faucet and to drink the water. They will not have any water if they do not drink, or if they do not, if they don't go, get the water. They won't have any. So it's like, where are you spending your time? It's like there needs to be, I guess, a certain situation, because it takes time to do that. They're walking long distances, and obviously, yeah, I guess you can say they're getting exercise and everything like that. But I mean, they're pretty much doing that every day. And just to think of the fact that they are taking time to do this. And I have no idea what this girl is doing. She's actually coming to the fence. I don't know what she's doing, but anyway, and the kids are actually just looking at her. But yeah, then I started thinking about, so yeah, it's taking them time to do that. So where are you spending your time? What are you doing with your time? And then that was actually the noun of time, but the verb is plan, schedule, or arrange when something should happen or be done. And then the second one is measure the time taken by. It says a process or activity, a person, or doing it. So yeah, so that goes back to show you time. It says plan, schedule. So therefore, you need to schedule your time. You need to pledge it. You need to design your time. You need to figure out what you're going to do with your time, what you're going to do in the day with your time. And like I said, so that's why I said time is an illusion. Time is an illusion because it's different for everybody. It's different in every situation. It'll be different for you once you start, designating your time. It's like, what do you want to do with your time? You define your own time. So therefore, obviously, some people say, well, I'm still an employee, but you still define your own time. You don't have to be an employee at that company where you're at. You don't have to be an employee, period. You can go out and start a business. Well, some people say, well, I don't have enough money to start a business. Well, actually, there is actually one way that costs pretty much less than $10 a month to start a business. And you say, what kind of business is that? It's a business that I have actually made probably about maybe 200. Actually now, probably, let's see, I made 200 before. So probably about $450 or so. And I put an investment in, I've been doing it for about 3-4 months now. So I'll just say about $30. So I turned $30 into $400 and something dollars, $450 for $500, just by doing this one program. And actually, some people say, you cannot make money online. You can't make, money online is a scam and doing stuff online. There is actually a successful entrepreneur has been doing this for 10 to 15 years now. And I just heard a story from him yesterday, or I was reminded of a story from him yesterday where he actually, made $300,000. This is back, pretty much where there was not much competition online. Not to say that there is, not to say that you cannot make money, because obviously I just told you I made money, but he made $300,000 a month just by, credit cards. He was actually directing people to credit card companies, and then he sold like auto parts. So I think I don't know if he did the same business at the time, but both of those businesses he was making at least at a minimum $300,000 a month. Yeah, that's a month. So you calculate that, that's what, 3.6 million, 36 million, something like that, 3.6 million. I'm messing up on my decimals here, so calculate that for me. But yeah, it's millions of dollars that he was actually making. So if you think about it, but you think somebody like Warren Buffett's a billionaire, so obviously he's making like millions I mean, yeah. So if you make $1 million a month, that's only 12 million every year. So yeah, obviously he was making 3.6 million. So yeah. So if you make $1 million a month, that's only 12 million a year. You think how much money Warren Buffett is making? I mean, 100, 200 million a year, a month. So I mean, that's really not that much money. There's money to be made out there, people. I mean, yeah, you can say, well, yeah, I live so and so, so and so. I live in the inner city. I live in, a third world country. That doesn't matter. I mean, there's still opportunity. If you have a phone or maybe even a laptop computer, or if you have access to the internet, which you can go to the public library for that, you can actually have a business. You can start a business for less than $10 a month. And I'll actually put the link in the comments. But the situation is, what are you doing with your time? Where are you spending your time? It says that 75% of Americans do not like, and that might be 74%. I don't know. You can Google it. That was off of a motivational program that I saw. You can look it up. But a lot, we can say this. Whatever the percentages is, it's a high percentage of people who do not like what they're doing every day. I was one of those people. I really didn't like the fact that I was going to a job every day. I wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. I mean, I'm obviously right here in Rwanda now. A job is not going to provide me to be in Rwanda for 50 something days, because you can't be away from a job. Obviously, I understand that, because if you're away from a job that long, then the company is not going to function. I mean, that's just like me hiring somebody and saying, well, I'm going to take 50 days off. Well, in my situation, I couldn't do that, because obviously I have to be at the location to run samples and stuff. Yes, if you are, so pretty much, yeah. So if you are, I guess, like a VA or something, you're working from home, but you're still doing the actual work. I'm saying, like, you have to take time off, and you have to tell your boss, well, I'm going to be away from, my job for 50, 60 days. Actually, we'll probably be here another at least 40, 50 days now. Let's see, about another, yeah. So we'll probably be here about another 40 days or so in Rwanda. So, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. So obviously a job is not going to allow you to do that. They're not going to they're not going to let you do that, because obviously the company won't function. That's just like I was saying, if I hire an employee or a person or a VA and they say, I'm just not going to do anything for 70, 80 days, then my company is not going to function. Something is not going to get done. So, yeah. What are you doing with your time? Are you happy? And then they say that, the time that you put into things, I mean, as far as, time, actually, there's a bird feather flying around. I'm on the balcony outside, but yeah, so I guess it was birds or something around here on the balcony itself. It used to be actually bees nest over here, but we had a guy, actually with feathers flying now. I don't know if you can see this or not. I don't know. It might be dirty. Let's see if you can see it. I don't know what kind of bird feather this is. Obviously, there's people who can distinguish what type of feather this is. Just to tell you, I'm not actually, bluffing. I am outside on the balcony in Rwanda. But yeah. So, what are you doing with your time? That's what I was going to say. As far as people, actually, they they say most of the heart attacks happen on Monday morning between the hours of 7 and 9. They say, well, you're saying, well, what is the, what's the significance of 7 to 9? That's where most people are actually going to work. They're commuting to work, computing. I guess they're computing too, getting ready to compute. But yeah, they're commuting to work on Monday morning. People don't want to go to work. I mean, it's kind of sad that, there's a lot of people that are doing things, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and they don't like it. I know Gary Vee mentioned that, and he was like, why are you spending the majority of your life doing something that you don't want to do? Then there's actually a quote that says, you only get to live once, whether you believe in reincarnation, all that stuff. But I mean, for the majority of the time, most of the time, if you do get to reincarnate, you won't remember your former life. So therefore, you're thinking you only get to live once. So whether you believe in reincarnation or not, you only get to live, one time. So some people say, but the quote says, you only get to live one time. But they said if you live your life correctly, you live your life right, you live your life appropriately, you live your life doing the things that you want to do, then one time is enough. So make sure that you are spending time doing things that you want to do, and not things that, people have imposed on you and made you do. Don't ever get in a situation where you feel like you have to do something, because that's really not a good situation to be in. Now, not to say, there's pressure and all that stuff on you. I mean, yeah, you can do that, as far as, just being pressure. But I mean, just make sure that you have a way out. Make sure that you understand that, you're not pressured for 50 years of your life. Because I mean, what do they say? Like people spend, 40 hours a week for, like 40, 50 years doing something that they don't want to do. Then they get to the end of their life and it's like, well, why did I do all that? Because I mean, it's like my life is over. I'll give you a situation and a story like this. This one guy that I used to work with, he spent his time at a company dedicated on third shift. I mean, this guy worked third shift. So I guess you can take the percentages and say the majority of Americans actually spend time, or actually work first shift, because obviously I've worked numerous shifts and I say the world is catered to first shift people. But so obviously I say the world is catered to first shift people. But this guy, he actually worked his entire career. He was like a mechanic at a certain company that I used to work at. He was a mechanic, and it was 2 or 3 weeks before he was getting ready to retire, and he passed away and he died. And he was so excited. He was like, yeah, I get to, see my retirement. And it really affected this older guy that we used to work with pretty well, because actually they were good friends. And they actually, it actually affected this guy. And the older guy that, he was friends with, the guy that passed away, he actually ended up resigning and quitting before it was time for him to retire. And I talked to him, a little bit after. He said, I'm just pretty much enjoying life now. He was like, man, I was just frustrated. He was like, I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And then, he kind of, we talked about the guy that passed away. I mean, he worked his entire life in a third shift position. So you can only imagine. I worked third shift, and I still remember that I was worked third shift, and I got off and I went to the Nutcracker. My wife and I went to the Nutcracker. If you guys are familiar, anything with Greenville, South Carolina, that's my hometown. Yeah, I'll throw it out there, Greenville, South Carolina, in the United States of America. But yeah, I'll throw it out there. And so we actually went to the Peace Center. And I had worked third shift the night before, and we went to a Nutcracker play. And I mean, I couldn't stay awake because I was so tired. So I really couldn't enjoy the play. And I kept telling my wife, it's like, that was the first time I ever went to the Nutcracker. I never don't know much, about plays or anything like that. So I thought that they actually talked in the play or had music. Or obviously, yeah, they had music, but I thought they actually talked in the play. They did not talk in the play. So it was like, are they going to say anything? It's like, how can you expect me to stay awake? I've been up all night. And even working third shift, you're like a zombie most of the time. No matter how much sleep you get, it's never enough because your body is actually fighting. What is it? Your pituitary gland actually functions better, when you get sleep at night. Or actually, what it is not pituitary gland, but it's something in your brain. Your body functions better, at night when it's not your. Well, I think it has something to do with your pituitary gland, but actually the melatonin. Melatonin actually helps you sleep. I know some people take melatonin pills, capsules, supplements, whatever you want to call it. But the reason why they take that is they can't sleep, so it helps them sleep. But your body actually produces melatonin, and it produces the most melatonin when you get sleep during night hours. So if you're working and you're staying awake during night hours, then obviously your body's not functioning the way it's supposed to do. So this guy did that pretty much his whole entire existence in his life, and then he was actually getting ready to have a normal schedule, and then he died. He passed away. So he actually went to sleep. So therefore, if you skip sleep, if you miss sleep, I mean, you're gonna sleep eventually. But I heard one lady say, she said I really don't want to go to sleep. She said sleeping is for the weak. She said, I'll sleep when I die. I was like, you might put yourself in the grave closer than doing that. Than missing sleep and skipping out on sleep. But the point is, where are you spending your time? What are you doing with your time? Are you doing stuff that you like to do with your time, or are you not doing stuff with your with your time? Are you enjoying your time, or are you dreading your time? I mean, do you like going to work each and every day, or do you not like going to work each and every day? Do you like waking up in the mornings, or do you cringe waking up in the mornings? I mean, these things, these can have an effect on you and the people around you. You can have an effect on your friends. You can have an effect on your family. You can have an effect on everything that you do, have an effect on your health. What are you doing with your time? I mean, yeah, it could take you In order to get to retirement, you can work 40 hours a week for 40 years, and then you can have a nice retirement stored up. But guess what? Inflation is going to eat all that. There's actually a book that our president wrote in the United States of America, Donald Trump, whether you like him, love him, hate him, or whatever. But him and Robert Kiyosaki, they actually wrote a book. And in the book, it talks about the myth of having a 401k. I got to see if I can find that book. Actually, I have the book. I read certain pieces of it, certain points. So it's got some pretty good points in it. But that actually, after reading that book, it was like, what's the point of having a 401k? Actually, I'll give you a brief sentiment of, 401ks. As far as the 401k was actually created for CEOs and company owners, and employees could not participate in it at first. Then all of a sudden, the employees, or actually the CEOs, opened it up to the employees. But when they opened it up to the employees, they pulled their money out of it. So it's like, well, these are the ones that are actually owning companies and everything like that. Now, you have myths and stuff. Some people say, well, you got to save, you got to do all that. Do you? Or is that what, people tell you? But let me hop off of there. Go check out that book. I might drop it down in the comments. You guys have a good one. Take care. Yep. Bye.